Liberal Viewer presents.
So it's that time of year again when Fox News gets all indignant about some made-up war on Christmas, usually involving some made-up smear against the American Civil Liberties Union, an organization dedicated to defending fundamental individual rights to which I belonged for over 25 years. So I wasn't surprised to see a promo for an upcoming segment on the O'Reilly Factor this week centering on the made-up anti-ACLU smear you can see in this clip.
Bah humbug. The ACLU scrooges public schools, warning them not to say Merry Christmas. Our Is It Legal team is on the case on the O'Reilly Factor.
Now, I've been a member of the ACLU for decades, and I've volunteered for ACLU affiliates from New Jersey to Missouri to California, and though I've heard many people at the ACLU say Merry Christmas, I've never heard anyone at the ACLU try to stop anyone from saying Merry Christmas, so I was pretty sure this was going to be another one of those big lies, and like any good big lie, Fox News repeated it over and over, not just in that promo ad, but from Bill O'Reilly himself, teasing the upcoming segment as you can see in this clip.
The ACLU warning schools in Tennessee not to say Merry Christmas. Is it legal with details? And we hope you stay tuned.
And in case you missed that Merry Christmas misinformation, Bill O'Reilly was sure to repeat it for you one more time here.
We're going to hold the ladies over because the ACLU, oh, don't you love them?
Yeah.
They are warning schools, warning them in Tennessee not to say Merry Christmas.
Now, after all of that lead-up, you'd expect facts to back up the accusation, but the only fact cited in that entire anti-ACLU segment on the supposed #1 cable news show was a quote from a letter that said nothing about stopping anyone from saying Merry Christmas, as you can see in this clip.
A #1 cable news show for 10 years and counting. The O'Reilly Factor.
Thanks, Dan. With us, I'm Bill O'Reilly. We continue now with Is It Legal? In Tennessee, the ACLU has sent a letter to 137 school superintendents warning them not to emphasize Christmas this year. Quote, "We believe that holiday celebrations that focus primarily on one religious holiday can result in indoctrination, as well as a sense within the students who do not share that religion of being outsiders to the school." Unquote.
Now, believe it or not, that's the only sentence from the ACLU letter quoted in that entire segment, even though that sentence doesn't even mention Christmas, never mind telling schools not to say Merry Christmas, because nowhere in that letter you can read in full for yourself at tinyurl.com/inclusive letter does the ACLU say or imply that schools should stop people from saying Merry Christmas, and that one sentence from the ACLU letter that Fox News showed was even edited with an ellipsis to cut out the word however. To make it less clear, the sentence was cut out of a paragraph welcoming school holiday celebrations, and in fact the first sentence of the second paragraph in that ACLU letter is, quote, "Schools naturally recognize the holiday season with their own celebrations, and we welcome such celebrations," unquote. But nothing about the ACLU welcoming holiday celebrations at the schools made it into this Fox News segment, which just heaped on the false accusations against the ACLU, continuing in this clip.
As usual, the ACLU does not acknowledge Christmas is a federal holiday mandated by Congress, signed into law by U.S. grant.
Now, claiming the ACLU fails to recognize that Christmas is a legal holiday is just ridiculous and is easily debunked by looking at the ACLU webpage at aclu.org/origins-Christmas, which includes the sentence, quote, "It was not until June 1870, 3 weeks after the death of the author of A Christmas Carol, that the U.S. Congress made Christmas into an official national holiday," unquote. But of course that quote from the ACLU also never made it into the Fox News segment, where instead O'Reilly brought on two lawyers to expand on his big lie about not saying Merry Christmas, with the bigger lie that there was some threat of legal action in the ACLU's letter, as you can see here.
Was there a threat in the ACLU letter to these superintendents? If you do mention Merry Christmas or you do have caroling, we will do this to you.
We are coming after you strong and hard. That's what the threat is right there. And
is it though? Is it stated threat?
Of course. To me, this is very clear. If you read this letter, which we have,
yes,
they clearly state that we feel you are engaging in indoctrination, which is unfair, inappropriate, unconstitutional.
Now wait. None of that is in the ACLU letter, which again you can read for yourself at tinyurl.com/inclusive letter, where you'll find nothing telling schools they are engaging in indoctrination, nothing threatening anyone, and again, nothing telling anyone not to say Merry Christmas. Yet Fox News anchor and attorney Kimberly Guilfoyle went on to make the additional misrepresentations you can see here.
And they focus specifically on
what?
Christmas. I don't know, Santa and his elves. It's a bad, scary thing.
Right,
I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Now, what's really ridiculous is claiming this ACLU letter is against Santa when the sentence after the only sentence from the ACLU letter that Fox News quoted included the phrase, quote, "We welcome holiday celebrations that share secular symbols such as Santa Claus," unquote. So the spin from Fox News anchor and attorney Kimberly Guilfoyle on the ACLU letter was entirely dishonest, but the spin from Fox News anchor and attorney Elise Wheel was not much better, because just as she was on the edge of admitting that nothing in the ACLU letter supported any of these anti-Christmas accusations, she ended up sticking with the dishonest spin in the so-called no-spin zone that you can see here.
There's no one sentence in here that you can parse out and say, we're going to come after you and sue you if you have a Christmas parade or something like that, or a Christmas pageant.
They don't even want the teachers to mention, or the schools to mention Christmas.
You can mention Christmas if you mention also this long list.
So you have to go Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Solstice,
Voting Day,
you don't can't offend
Winter
anyone.
Solstice, everything.
Now, the list of holidays that Lise Wheel read there was, again, not part of any ACLU claim that every holiday always must be mentioned, but just came from the second sentence of the ACLU letter simply stating, quote, "Across the state, students and their families will be celebrating various holidays, including Christmas, Hanukkah, Bodhi Day, Kwanzaa, Eid al-Adha, Winter Solstice, and New Year's," unquote. But there were no threats in the letter at all, just a request to be inclusive along with an accurate description of how the First Amendment applies to public schools with several good legal citations, but Bill O'Reilly and the two lawyers in his Is It Legal segment just continued their baseless smears of the ACLU having nothing to do with anything actually in the ACLU letter, summarizing the previous misinformation and ending, of course, with the obligatory O'Reilly name-calling you can see here.
But there was also a Rasmussen poll in 2009 that 83% of Americans actually believe in these religious
but they're
holiday
indoctrinated.
celebrations.
Guilfoyle,
Right,
they're all brainwashed.
But they have no
Everybody.
constitutional leg to stand on. This is
course they
inappropriate. They're singling out Christmas. It's
Right.
not fair. Everyone
ACLU,
What I
everybody.
don't like about it is the scary tactic. It's like,
Yes,
if you
threatening.
do this, we're coming after
And they
you.
only
Why
did
don't we
this in
just wait
Tennessee, by
until
the way.
see
This
what
is just the
happens?
nuts in Tennessee, the ACLU nuts.
And that kind of baseless name-calling with made-up accusations and no real factual or legal analysis is typical of the Fox News coverage of their made-up war on Christmas every year, which has gotten so ridiculous it's actually become fodder for the Colbert Report, where satirical conservative pundit Stephen Colbert calls his war on Christmas the Blitzkrieg on Grinchitude, which comes complete with the cool graphic introduction you can see here.
This is the Blitzkrieg on Grinchitude.
And in that great segment on the Colbert Report last week, Stephen Colbert completely debunked another fake Fox News report about an attack on Christmas in the schools, although this one didn't involve the ACLU, but Colbert's concluding remarks to Gretchen Carlson about the real reason for the season would be equally applicable to Bill O'Reilly's fake war on Christmas coverage, as you can see in this clip.
So, Gretchen, start reporting these stories immediately. If you don't, people might forget the reason for the season. Your baseless indignation.
And that's really what's so sad about the fake Fox News war on Christmas, because it takes a time of year that so many people try to make about togetherness and inclusiveness and turns it into something nasty and divisive. And the worst part about it is the way it so often involves dishonest smears against that great pro-liberty organization, the ACLU. And I know that no matter how many videos I make debunking those smears, and I've made several, that my accurate information will never have the reach of Fox News' misinformation, but I still think it's worth the effort to do my part, especially when I get support from you, my viewers, giving my video a thumbs-up rating, adding it to your favorites, commenting on it, or spreading it around the internet on Facebook and Twitter. But I want to know what you think. Is correcting this Fox News war on Christmas anti-ACLU lie of 2010 worth my time to make this video and your time to give it a thumbs-up rating, add it to your favorites, comment on it, or spread it around the internet on Facebook and Twitter? And given the pervasiveness of Christmas celebrations in American culture, why does Fox News keep creating these fake attacks on Christmas every year that give Christians a false sense of being persecuted?
YouTube, you decide.